Good afternoon, everyone. It's the Recreation Commission's meeting for October 5th, 2021. I want to acknowledge we have the pleasure to do our business in the traditional unceded territory of the Comox First Nation. And I may like to mention that Dr. Morin, who's here, and made a couple of comments last week that triggered me to think that maybe in the future I will follow in our chair's footsteps. And the call for action, the 94 call for actions, actually have a number of resolutions that target recreation and sports participation of Indigenous communities, and there's 4 or 5 of them. So maybe in the next couple of 2 or 3 meetings, I'll read those, and then we can acquaint ourselves with some of the requests from First Nation communities. Before we move on, acknowledging we have everyone in the room except for Dr. Kettler and Trustee Howe. They are on Zoom. And before we move on, I think might be a couple of items under new business that a couple of directors wanted to put forward. Yeah.
First day with your new toy, eh? Yeah. So I've been talking with Stefan from the soccer group about soccer fields, and they've been sending these scatter letters to everybody that will listen and even those that won't. And in that discussion, I suggested that perhaps we should be dealing with this as a more regional district function under the Rec Commission. I think it's a regional initiative in that they want about $2.5 million roughly, and it's encompasses the whole valley for people that would use it. And the way they're going about it, coming to Courtney, going to Comox, out to Cumberland, they're not going to get anywhere that way. So I just wanted to bring this up and see if we could get it actually onto an agenda either today or at a later date, at which time we could discuss whether we want to go forward with this, or if it's something that looks good, and then maybe staff could give us some direction on how to roll with that. So that was my item.
Thanks. So we'll just put it as consideration of engaging with the Comox Valley United around this issue under new business, and then we can have a brief discussion. Perfect. There was a couple of other directors, I think, that had something.
Thanks, Chair. I had an issue, but I've had the opportunity to speak with our staff person and found a way to follow up with it in that regard. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair. And just highlighting a slight pothole issue outside of the sports center, if that could be considered a way to move forward on that.
Thank you. So under new business, maybe we'll put that alongside a very brief update on the repavement project. Would that be okay? Or we'll put it on the pothole. Okay, so anybody's got any concerns about just these 2 additions? Seeing none, we will jump right into the management report for receipt. Okay, moved and seconded. Thank you. There's only 1 item. Anybody has questions with it? Oh, so this is second, but yeah, sorry. Anybody has questions in the management report? Okay, there being none, we will move that forward. Pardon me? Yeah, I guess we could vote. Everybody in favor of receipt? Thank you. Not fully on the ball just yet. Okay, under reports, we have updates, staff updates, recreation services, operational and strategic updates for receipt. Thank you, Dr. Gran and Amir, and over to staff.
Thank you very much, Chair and Commissioners. And Jennifer Zabidin is here to provide the 2 reports that are on the agenda and answer any of your questions.
Thank you. Through the chair. We're a little sloppy here. Through the chair, to the directors, good afternoon. Staff are here to provide an update and information on current initiatives and recreation projects completed by the Recreation Services. We've recently had a lengthy shutdown for the Aquatic Center in particular. And today we want to show some of the projects that have been completed that have been linked to the lengthier shutdown. So first up here, we have on our slides here, top left is the Aquatic Center has been completely overhauled and repainted from the left all the way through to the right and top to bottom. Bottom left, we have the new epoxy decking. The photo maybe doesn't do it justice, but when you actually look at the new decking, we do have three different types of colors, like a darker gray, a lighter gray, and a blue. Kind of gives you an idea of if you're in front of the leisure pool, in front of the 25-meter pool, or if you're coming out of the change rooms. So this is the first time that epoxy deck has been completely redone since 1999's opening. It's had some patchwork, but it was certainly due. Top right, we have the lights. We have a new LED lighting system that we've replaced from, again, those lights are from 1999, so a very old system. With these lights, we expect to have, or we do have quite an improvement in the safety of the visual of the sight lines for the staff. And of course, we'll have energy reduction. Bottom right, I mean, UV sanitation system, not the most exciting picture to look at, but at the end of the day, the product that UV sanitization will do for our facilities will be wonderful. So we've replaced the Aquatic Center ozone system for all three pool pieces, all three pool basins, with a UV light system. There will be a reduction of 99.5% of pathogens that may enter the pool. So what it means is it's a better chance of eliminating things that you find in the pool or that you may know are in the pool water. And it will also help reduce the chemical usage by about 90%. And then the other item that there's no photo on there is the stereo system. We've updated the upgrade and replaced the stereo system at the Aquatic Center, which now gives the ability for public announcements throughout the entire facility. So for safety, you know, you're not running from pool to dressing room. We can now do a one hall announcement. So bringing us to our strategic goals that are part of our, from the Rec Commission, part of the mandate for the staff as part of the work that they do. Under strategic goal 3, partnership outcomes. So top left, we've been building on relationships and developing partners that support and enhance the delivery of recreation services. So the first one is the community, the Comox Valley Early Years Collaborative. So it's a network of 40 individuals and organizations committed to improving lives of the children of the Comox Valley. Together, we're involved in a number of joint initiatives and projects. And one of the biggest things that we're trying to do is bring programming out to areas where it's difficult for children to come into our facilities. So we'll bring the programming to them as best as we can. Top right, Lush Valley. So we've continued to provide them support through the spring and summer and early fall, providing them space for their hamper program within the curling center. And of course, office space up above the washrooms on the exhibition grounds. Bottom left, we have the Joint Aquatic Service Study in collaboration with the City of Courtenay. That's for indoor and outdoor aquatic services. The RFP has closed. We have some proponents, and this week the process is to select the successful proponent and make an award, and then we can begin that process. And that's that last piece of information that we need in order to really make a decision on what pools will look like in the future in the Comox Valley, indoor pools and outdoor pools, and the types of services that they'll provide. And then lastly, on the bottom right, the Sports and Aquatic Center serves as a home to many community clubs, including minor hockey, ringette, figure skating, lacrosse, and swim clubs. So we have many partnerships with the various organizations that utilize our facilities, and we do our best to provide them support so that they can carry on providing programs for the kids, for the children. Under strategic goal number 4, which is accessibility to recreation services, ensuring opportunities to participate regardless of income. So we've done a couple things here. First one is the ice allocation process review and updates were completed to ensure a fair and equitable process to all. One of the areas that was really earmarked was the youth ringette is really growing, and to find them consistent ice times. So they've always received ice, but for it to be consistent in order for them to be able to build their program and build their youth teams, we've been able to provide them with 3 solid ice times a week that they know every week, year after year, there's their ice time. The second one is in consideration of a different delivery model to provide more access to our facilities. We currently have a trial adult hockey league with 14 teams on the go, with a further wait list of quite a few more full teams and single teams up and running, with a reevaluation after Christmas to see where we're going to go forwards with in the new year. And the other one I'd like to bring forth is so we've been working with our member municipalities on the regional low income pass. The trial is going to begin on January 2nd. And then the regional recreation, I'm calling it a passport, but regional recreation pass or passport work will commence with a hopeful start of in late 2022 or early 2023 with some kind of a regional recreation pass. There's still lots of things that need to be sorted out, but staff in partnership with the other municipalities are well on their way with finding a path. Under the regional district's strategic driver, climate crisis and environmental stewardship and protection. One of the big things that we did this year is we replaced our ice resurfacer from propane run to electric run. So this will improve the air quality and reduce the strain on the building ventilation. And another comment that we've heard quite a bit now from our customers or from our patrons is it's a very quiet machine. So it's purring its way around the ice instead of hearing the moaning and groaning of a different kind of machine. And the other item that we're still working on with the transit and sustainability staff is the installation of EV charging stations down at the sports center to start, and then the exhibition grounds, and then the aquatic center. Under fiscal responsibility, there's lots of things always on the go, being careful with how we move forwards using our dollars. But the biggest area that we've really focused on in this year has been the aquatic center. We've recently completed aquatic center facility conditions assessment, and we're using that information to inform future asset management upgrades to the facility. You're going to see a lot of that coming forth in the 2022 to 2026 recreation financial plan. You'll see upgrades and you'll also see replacement items that will be coming forth. Staff are currently working on a 10-year plan, but you'll get a sneak peek of the first 5 years. And of course, during this COVID time, when we have had a lengthy shutdown, the sports and aquatic centers have both received some major maintenance and replacement items throughout this past time frame. Primary focus currently on the aquatic center. So in the staff report, there's quite a long list of things that have been done over this past time. Staff continue on with further maintenance and continuously, upgrading here and changing things there. While we've done this big list, now that this big list is done, staff move over and pick up the next big list and continue on with further upgrades and asset management and equipment replacement. And that's what our year has been like. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you, and if there's any questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions? Director Kettler.
Hello, thanks for the report. I just had a comment about calling the Universal Pass a recreation passport, just because we are dealing with vaccination passports, and especially at the rec centers that might cause some confusion. So I was just wanting to add my 2 cents about possibly calling it something else. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. And that's why we have elected officials. Okay, next. Next is, it's funny, they're not named anymore. So I guess it's Dr. Amir. Oh, or where did that go? It went to Dr. Hillian, it seems. There you go.
I was just going to make the exact same comment that Director Kettler did. So yeah, the passport, unfortunately, the connotation right now seems to be a little bit on the negative side. So, but my comment was more regarding funding and around the fiscal responsibility. We know we didn't get some of the grants that we were really hoping to. And I know the chair did meet with the minister during UBCM, and I'm wondering if staff have had any conversation with any provincial or federal funding bodies for facility upgrades or that kind of infrastructure dollars, if there's anything that you're aware of that's coming down?
Through the chair, there are a couple of grants that will be coming out within the next 2 months. So we're in September now, or pardon me, October. So there is one grant coming out in December that we can, where they're starting to take intake for December. And there's another one that will be taking intakes until January that staff are going to try to apply for. Because again, we have mezzanine upgrades and further, particularly sports center, asset management upgrades and things that we'd like to get at.
That's great. And it was good to see us really well aligned with the ministry too, in the goal of having a dedicated funding stream for sports and recreation, because right now we're in a basket of multiple things in a lot of these calls. Dr. Hillian.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to reference the accessibility banner that you had up before and mention that, as I just discussed earlier, I was running at the track at Vanier some time ago, and it occurred to me that if I was in a mobility scooter or some other such device, I couldn't see how I would actually gain access to either the track or the soccer field. And there was no signage if there's some other way in either. So it's just something that I understand you're going to be meeting with the school district, and I really appreciate your willingness to take that up. I think it's something that would send a good signal to the community if we could get on top of that. Thanks.
Through the chair, thank you. Yes, staff will be meeting with the school district operations department late next week, actually. And given that we have a partnership with them and an agreement in place, we can certainly work on that. It is recognized it is quite a steep entranceway with stairs, and absolutely that will become a priority. Thank you.
That's great. And if I may, in that exact same area is where the change room for soccer is planned. So as they do that work, maybe there's an opportunity to make improvements in that regard. Who knows? Thanks for raising that. Any further questions? I do have something to bring up, which is in relation to this. We've just went through a few of our strategic goals, and the directors may know that our strategic plan was intended from 2019 to 2021. Around now, there's been discussions both at the CVRD board and strategic planning to look at just simply continuing the strategic plan to the end of this term, and maybe redoing it after next election. And partly what I heard from staff is it's in consideration of the impact of COVID on this service, and we've really had to, it's been very disruptive to the service. So there's no staff recommendation, but I just thought I'd poll the board if anybody's got concerns or thoughts on that. See a little bit of nodding, and I look online. Okay, it looks good. So maybe by the next meeting, maybe we can see some kind of staff, some kind of confirmation that that's the commission's desire to just extend the strategic plan to the next year. Thank you. And so we are then voting on receipt. All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. The next item is the ICE allocation policy update for receipt. Dr. Grant and Cole Hamilton, over to staff.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll just wait till the PowerPoint is up. Through the chair, staff are here today to provide the Comox Valley Rec Commission with an amendment to the appeal process within the ICE allocation policy of the Comox Valley. That count. Following a previous review directive, staff have been working with ICE groups to ensure a more equitable and ICE allocation process, which has included increasing times for user groups that are growing in participation. So again, that's our ringette as an example. This included not-for-profit youth sports and Comox Valley Regional District programming to meet community needs. So as well, including the delivery of an adult evening hockey league. Through this process, it was recognized the historic ICE bookings for ICE users may need to be reallocated to meet the current and future needs. There is an ICE allocation appeal process for all ICE user groups not satisfied with the ICE allocation that they have received. But what is that process? So the amendment provide a step-by-step process. Those wishing to appeal will submit their appeal in writing to the General Manager of Community Services within 10 business days of receiving their assigned ice times. The appeal meeting date is then scheduled with the applicant and the appeal committee members, and that's the Rec Commission Chair, the General Manager of Community Services, and the Senior Manager of Recreation Services. The CVRD staff will then respond to the applicant after the meeting within 3 business days with a decision or a request for more information if required. And then CVRD staff will provide a decisive response in writing. I just want to swing us back just as a reminder how this fits into our strategic goals. So under accessibility, improving accessibility of recreation programs and services for all citizens by allowing individuals of all levels to participate in the CVRD recreation programs, as an example, the adult hockey, and to ensure clear priority for youth nonprofit ice users. And under strategic driver community partnerships and the outcome supporting community partnerships, joint initiative hockey league, and a clear priority for youth and not-for-profit ice users. And that's it on that one. So I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Dr. Hamir.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. That was, it's good to clarify that what the process is. It sounds like the amendment is kind of not confining, but ensuring a time when those complaints can be made. So my question was around communication of the amendment. How will the different sports groups know that this has happened? Do the individual members get notice, or is there a contact list that this is sent to?
Through the chair, after today's meeting, upon this being approved, we will fan out an email to all of our users.
Okay, great. And just a question, if I may, have you gotten many appeals from, after the new ice allotment?
In the history of the Comox Valley Sports and Aquatic Centers, we've recently had our first one, and we've just had one.
Okay. Good to hear. All right, thanks.
Yeah, and I think it's good to make amendments. It was the first time the policy was used, and it was good, but there was definitely, just some things to tidy up for clarity for those who are appealing. It's not an easy process. I think for staff and even myself, haven't been involved. It's it really tells how user groups really value their time and all the constraints that can be around that. In terms of dissemination, I assume that all the sports group in the Valley are currently live streaming us, on YouTube. Next is further questions, Director Grant.
Makes the schedule now, is that like, I don't want the appeal to come back to the very same people that made the schedule in the first place.
So the programs department actually looks after the scheduling process with the administration. So the 3 members that sit on the committee are not linked to the actual scheduling.
Yeah. Thank you. Further questions on this one? No, then all in favor? Thank you very much. That passes. Thank you, Director Hillian and Grant. That the Comox Valley Recreation Commission approves amended ice allocation policy number P55, which includes an appeal process for ice users not satisfied with their ice allocation. All in favor? That seems unanimous. Maybe I should pull online, or I can't see them, right? So Director Kepler in favor?
Yep, all good.
Okay, and Trustee Am?
As am I, thanks.
Thank you very much. So that passes. We just have a few more minutes on the new business. We had from Director Grant, basically a request for staff to engage with the Comox Valley United Soccer Club to look at the future facilities. Is that right?
Sorry, or is it to invite them to make a presentation to the commission?
Well, what I'm thinking of here is that we bring this issue to the Sports Commission. At that point, we can decide whether we think soccer field is a good thing for the Valley or not. And if it is, then we make it a regional project rather than the approach that they're using now is just going to everybody individually, and it's just getting ridiculous. I don't want to debate it today, but I want to get it on an agenda so that we can get it, and like, I don't even know if this board would even want to do that.
Okay.
So I just want to get it onto the schedule so we can have the discussion.
Mr. Chair, my advice would be a resolution to invite the United Soccer to make the presentation to the commission that they've provided to the municipalities.
Okay, I see Director Hillian has his hand up as well.
Thanks, Chair. I'm certainly prepared to make that resolution, but I did want to just clarify, is there not some type of field study that we're involved in with perhaps the municipalities or
So-
independently?
I can have a first crack and maybe Jennifer can fill in, but we have completed the outdoor court study, which really look at surfaces for tennis and pickleball and such. Unless I'm wrong, there are not recent, and we are working on the aquatic scene, but we haven't done a full assessment in many other sports around needs. Is that correct, staff?
Through the chair, I believe it was in,
Sorry, there is a study in
Yes.
2008 that provides some very direct recommendations, and we can definitely bring that to your attention if the matter is brought to our table.
From 2008?
yes.
Well, in that case, Chair, I would move that we request that staff invite the Comox Valley United Soccer Club to present on their concerns with fields.
Second, great. No, go ahead.
So I think that the concern that I'm having is that they don't have good direction as to how to go about what they want to do. And we just need to get it brought into one centralized place. So I think there's probably broad support for soccer fields throughout the valley, but I don't know that for a fact. So I just want to get it so that they actually have somewhere to come and bring their stuff to, rather than the way they're doing it now.
That's great. And in preparation, is it a lot to us to circulate the 2008 study to the director so we can familiarize ourselves, or would that be of use?
My advice is to ask them to come to the table and see what the ask is, and we will inform you of the background and such.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Any further comments on this one? And so we do have a motion on the table, and all in favor? Director Kettler and Howe can try to say yes, both at once.
Yes.
Sorry, what was the motion again?
That we invite the Comox Valley United Soccer Club to come and discuss their facilities ambitions.
That sounds great. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and that passes. And the last item on the agenda is a pothole issue at the sports center. And I guess the request is, how do we go about fixing it? I know there's a repavement project. Can we tie into that, or the staff?
Through the chair. So on a yearly basis, that particular pothole is cut out and replaced. The repavement of the sports center is on the asset management plan over the next 10 years, but we are on school, we do lease school district property. So there are some portions of the agreement that we need to work on with them, with the potential of some support from them to help us with repavement of the sports center. But for now, the pothole will get cut out and fixed.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I guess it's it's an aggressive pothole, but that's also where all the big school buses turn and everything.
Yeah.
Is that satisfactory, Dr. Hamid? Thank you. It may not be solved tomorrow, however. So, okay, with that, we will move to adjournment. Thank you. All in favor? Okay, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.